In this video, we discuss the recent action in the lightweight division and why it is the future of boxing. Yeah, there's tons of action happening in the lightweight division, which is super exciting to see. Obviously Lopez fought Kambosos, which Lopez probably isn't going to be a contender at lightweight anymore because he's probably going to move up. But Kambosos, the new undisputed champ, that's going to be super interesting.
Yeah, it's super cool to see that Kambosos is now the lightweight champion because now he's been going to all these different events recently. He was at Haney versus
He's
Diaz.
doing a lot of
He was
media.
at Tank versus Cruz. Yeah, he's trying to promote his name, which is very smart. He's trying to get his name out there and become a huge star, which is what you're supposed to do. So good on him, and we'll see if he can keep the belts against some tough competition.
Yeah, he's definitely at the top. He beat the man who beat the man. Obviously, Lopez beat Loma, and then Kambosos beat Lopez. So he's been at the top. He's been promoting himself great and advertising, going through tons of different media and tons of different places. So it's cool to see him. It's a breath of fresh air. Obviously, the country of Australia getting a huge representative in Kambosos. So that's super exciting. Haney versus Diaz as well. That was an exciting 12-rounder with Haney obviously coming out on top, but it was competitive. There were moments in the fight where Diaz was having success. There were rounds though he was winning. A lot of people tend to think like whenever there's a close fight, like a lot of people there's gonna be a bunch of people who are gonna say it's a robbery or say like this or that. And I was seeing people say that Haney versus Diaz was a robbery, which bro, I personally did not see that at all because I thought Devin Haney was winning a majority of the rounds and obviously Devin Haney wasn't perfect in there, but he was winning rounds and he was definitely beating Jojo Diaz in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Haney was doing good, sticking to his different techniques. Yeah, he had good snap to his punches. Like you said, it was competitive, and Diaz had success in some moments, but I think Haney did enough to did what it takes to get the win.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of criticism with Devin Haney, like saying, "Oh, he's a pillow fist.
Yeah.
Oh, he's chinny," but though he might not have as much power, his technique and everything, he's super good technical fighter, which I feel like people should give him more props for that, even though obviously he has stuff to work on and he's still not perfect and he has some holes in his game that he could improve on, but he's still a tough fighter in that lightweight division, and him versus Kambosos would be a really good fight.
Yeah, that would be amazing for undisputed, and also just to clear that division of the debate of the WBC giving Haney the belt, even though like it was technically Loma's, but there's a ton of controversy there, but obviously Kambosos is I think he's technically undisputed. I mean, he has all the belts if you count the franchise belt as the WBC belt, which I don't know. There's a lot of debate there of if he's undisputed or if he has to fight Haney to become undisputed, but other than that, like that fight itself is just super interesting because we have Kambosos who's hella tough. He has tons of different attributes and tons of different skills that he possesses, and so does Haney. He has that pop to his punches, not necessarily the power to hurt some of these guys at the top level, but still, he has a lot of technique. He has a good Philly shell. He's a smart boxer, and he'll just outpoint people. But it was interesting to see Kambosos kind of outbox Tio, which was surprising. I don't think anyone really saw that coming, but it happened. So we'll see if Kambosos could do the same to Haney, or if Haney can outpoint him like he did against Diaz.
Yeah, and I feel like over this weekend, all these top young guys at the lightweight division were fighting it out against some good opponent, but not the top of the top, I would say, the most elite guys in this division. So
yeah,
now hopefully they got past all the challenges, also with Loma if he beats Comey this coming up weekend, and then hopefully then we'll see them clash with the top of the top guys that just won their last fights. So maybe Haney versus Kambosos. We'll see what happens with Tank, who just won versus Cruz this weekend as well on Sunday, and even he didn't put on his best performance. He still looked good.
Yeah, definitely not.
He was during the fight. It was reported that he got hurt, like his hand was hurt. So
yeah,
also put that into a tribute, but it wasn't his best performance for sure. But I was also impressed with Cruz, how tough he was. He just kept pushing forward.
It seemed like Cruz had the perfect game plan. He had that tight guard. He had that the perfect counter to what Gervonta bring. It kind of seemed like Gervonta was kind of relying on that uppercut a lot. but he wasn't really able to land flush with it because Cruz's defense was so tight, and he wasn't letting, Gervonta have any success in the pocket and even outside the pocket. Tank was running for a majority of the rounds while Cruz was hunting him down. Obviously, at the beginning, maybe when Tank was fresh, he was more active, and he was, also he didn't have a hurt hand reportedly. So, it's interesting. Also, like, there's talk between Shakur Stevenson moving to lightweight, which would also be insane. Like that just proves like the lightweight division is the future of boxing.
Such a prospect.
All these guys in this division, just imagine like a Shakur Stevenson fighting like a Lomachenko. Like that would be unreal. Like that would be such a good fight. I don't even know who would win that. Like it's tough to say because there's two like both like highly skilled guys, and that would definitely be an interesting fight. Obviously, we have Loma fighting Comey next week, so we're gonna see how he does. That's gonna be another great fight, and the lightweight division is just on fire. This is definitely the future. Obviously, of course, we have Ryan Garcia as well. Like what I find so interesting is these guys are so young and they have so much potential. And
they have so much room to grow and just to get better and better and just add more tools to their skill set.
And definitely one of these guys can leave like a lasting legacy and become a superstar.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of these guys have like a lot of fans. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, they have fan bases, but they're not superstars necessarily. But if they keep winning, if they build up, obviously Tank under the Floyd Mayweather banner. So there's that.
One more thing about Tank that I feel like even he was like disappointed in his own performance. Like you could definitely tell at the post-fight interview. I think mainly it was just kind of shocked because he thought he was gonna do him like he's done everyone else in the past. I think he thought he was gonna do Cruz like he did the last Cruz, and uppercut him into oblivion. But it didn't happen, and Cruz fought back, and it was relatively a competitive fight. So
it was a very close fight. I think most people either had that as a draw, maybe in favor of Tank a little bit, but obviously, again, as I spoke about, a lot of people are going to see it as a robbery, especially if you dislike Tank, or the boxing it's very subjective in how you score rounds. So people could have had even Kambosos losing the fight against Lopez. It was a split decision. Obviously, that could have been hometown bias. It could have been whatever it is. Obviously, boxing's boxing. Judging is pretty much like it's corrupted in a lot of ways. So. It's interesting. It's hard to score rounds, but just the potential of these guys, how young they are. Gervonta Davis, 27 years old. Devin Haney, 23. Lopez, 23. Ryan Garcia, 23. These guys have so much potential. And Lomachenko, he's a bit older, but he's such a veteran in the game. He's so talented, so gifted, and I could definitely see him rising to the top of the division pretty soon.
Yeah, I think personally that he's going to reclaim all the belts and reign that division for some time until one of these young guys build up the skill set a bit more, and then I could see them being like very competitive fights with Loma. But he has so many tools at his disposal, and he's just such a well-rounded fighter with so much experience.
For sure.
All those amateur fights, all those high-level competition pro fights.
Two Olympic gold medals.
Yeah, so it's crazy how achieved he is.
Impressive.
It's crazy how achieved he is, both amateur and even pro-wise. So. He really needs to put on a statement versus Comey, and if he does, then we could see him going for the belts again and trying to reign the division once again.
Yeah, and it seems to me like a lot of these guys are pretty raw. Haney obviously he doesn't seem to have that power, but he has that pop and he has that skills. But none of these guys are perfect. Haney still has many flaws. Tank of course also has flaws. Lopez we just saw has flaws against Kambosos. All these guys they're decently raw. They haven't really built up their skill sets. Obviously, Teofimo Lopez beat Lomachenko, but, styles make fights, as you know, and Lomachenko seemed to have started a bit too late in that fight.
Yeah.
So, it's still interesting. I think Lomachenko probably has the best tools and the most, well-rounded tools out of anyone, but, yeah.
Yeah, like a fight, a rematch of Loma versus Tio would be so interesting, but I doubt it's gonna happen since, Tio really seems like, Tio really seems like he's gonna move up, and even in the post-fight interview, he was hinting at it a lot, and especially if he struggles that much to make the weight.
Then and Lomachenko, he was a small 135 pounder. He fought at 126 and then 130. He's a 3-division world champion, so. He's not huge for the division. He's small. So it was an interesting fight. Obviously, we had someone who's huge for the division, who was barely able to make weight against Kambosos. Obviously, he said that was a struggle, but
Yeah.
It's interesting how this division is turning out to be the future. This clip is taken directly from the Punch Plan podcast. You can check the episode out right now on your screen, or you can go in the link in the description and stream it on Spotify. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.